In reality, only a select few individuals hold the power of influence. Not a pounce over a luxury item never to be owned, but real influence over police, governments, and even clandestine fraternities. My true story is so controversial that I invite you to comment and even question my integrity. Episode 18, A World Without Trust. I've already said, and I'm sure you can hear why, I have a few trust issues. It sounds laughable, doesn't it, considering what I've had to deal with over the last few years. Who can you trust? People coming into you, getting into your inner circle, trying to mess you around, trying to cause you damage financially, emotionally, just basically mess with your life. What are the reasons? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? For all the above, let's say that, and move forward. Ultimately, to protect the injustices individuals at higher planes, let's say, are created and have created. They want to keep us down, stop this story, stop this thing getting out. It's obvious so far, isn't it? Now, I've said previously, and I don't want to keep harping on it, building it up like it's something it isn't, because it is what it is. But in that envelope in front of me was something so serious, I just couldn't ignore it. I opened it up, a few pages, a few dozen pages, mostly handwritten from Alan. He started to explain in his letters, his statements, he signed them, dated them, what was going on. Quote, the concept dates back to 1999 when Alan and Robin were two business partners and close friends with Lawrence. Unquote. Clearly I'm missing out the surnames. I'll carry on. Quote. A leading and prominent US microbiologist. Alan had encountered Lawrence before, so meeting again to pursue an idea was easy to arrange. At a meeting in Phoenix, Arizona, a mutual plan was hatched to develop the world's greatest water treatment science. One that Alan would use to replenish all of the planet's water sources. All of the freshwater sources on the planet, only a small amount was usable to be treated and delivered to potable water, drinking water. Water is a dwindling source, and as the planet dries out due to climate change, the efforts are felt most of all in the northern hemisphere, where the greatest number of humans live. In the southern hemisphere, the population of humans is for the most part indigenous people of the developing world who simply can't access where water is, or like other areas of the world where the water is too toxic to be used to deliver drinking water. Unquote. As I was reading down, I thought, water treatment, what's it got to do with me? He's developed some water treatment? Great, very rich man. It was when I read on that I realised the seriousness of these allegedly serious security, British security and American security individuals were put together or developed at some point in the past, and now trying to monetize. I'll continue. Quote, to address this, Lawrence and his team set out to work to further develop the work we did when employed by a US security agency, dealing with countermeasures. Lawrence's role was to combat any contamination by an enemy of the state for food and water sources. If the crops and water were affected by toxic contamination, the US could be brought to its knees without a single shot being fired, so to speak. So it was vital that the US could uncontaminate these resources quickly. So it was this on which he spent much of his time, working for his government, making sure that they had the capacity to reverse any insidious attack. Following Glasnost in the USSR and the outbreak of peace, all these things were shelved, unnecessary. And so in 1999, with the appropriate consents, Lawrence dusted off his original work, having cost taxpayers millions, and set about bringing the technology up to the millennium, which he did for Alan and his friend Robin. These were set up in a company, Technologies, and another limited company, which exists today. We now own this remarkable science which has not been surpassed and perhaps never will. This is what Lawrence believes. Now, I'll try and work through rather than reading this all out, but what was being discovered here was a product that was a non-chlorine-based water treatment. And as Alan was explaining in his handwritten statement, this was tested by the CEHE University of Surrey in England, and along with other departments of the British government, Portadown and others. It was then taken to the, forgive the pronunciation, Uvumburumba River in Rwanda, which is supposedly one of the most contaminated on the planet. Now this is where it gets interesting. Oxfam, it says, the CEHE, University of Surrey, together with Lawrence, Alan, went off to Rwanda so that the university could carry out independent field trips and then produce the results to the world in a written science document. And this was all done in 2002 amid great interest from the scientific world. Of course it was. Oxfam, again obviously, wanted this material immediately as a replacement for thousands of tons of chlorine that they used throughout the world. The problem was it had already been paid for. Now this is where politics entered the forum, and a contractual agreement between the government and the chlorine producers, ICI in the UK and the likes of BASF in Germany. The question was, could the tie be broken, the contractual tie? The answer was no. Chlorine could be delivered to countries in need for Oxfam, free of charge by the Department for International Development, the FID. But they would not seek to cancel arrangements for chlorine in favour of this new technology, even though the cost disadvantages, it's just politics, right? So what happened was Alan sought to raise funds to develop this and appointed politicians and a banker to the board, and this is where Alan got to a point before he became indisposed. So he says, Oxfam, you got the American microbiologist created this water treatment just because of a contract with two companies. The assistance to the world, solving the water purification, drinking water for millions, was being overlooked, sidelined. And it's said, as felt by Alan, because of all this, he was later imprisoned. Hush, I know, I get it, Alan. I'm reading, there's nowhere to be seen. I'm reading through this stuff. Now, as I keep reading, I'm reading other people that were involved. As I flip through the papers, start reading this, I come to a statement. It reminded me of the moment at Hendon Road with Tara when opening Bert's depositions, his papers, the 2 boxes. When we had opened to see Michelle Brand's statement, where the police pressured her and wrote a statement for her. In here was a statement. The statement of Robin, Alan's friend, who he's mentioning throughout. And I won't quote it all because it's the top part here is, I'll miss the surname. Robin, former civil servant, 36 years, answered only to the Premier Margaret Thatcher and then to John Major. My friend and work associate over 15 years and not a man to be associated with me if I had any criminal tendencies. Robin was actively employed in the security of the British realm. And he goes on to support all of this. What he says is corruption with judges, barristers, running him through trials. Now I thought, part of me thinking, much like Dave, the toy soldier, in the cell with your doors up. Is this some other idiot trying to get in? I mean, not idiot, but is this some guy trying to get into me, why would he go to these lengths? I mean, you only need to try and, this is heavy stuff, you know what I mean? He obviously really wants to gain my trust. Or something else. Well, it seems the former. He wanted my trust, and for a number of reasons, he felt he could trust me. To such a degree, he wanted me, it seemed, to read this. As I read on, I could read down to Mr. Randall Schreiber, sending millions of dollars to Kachurian, the politicians, Turkish diplomats, and Professor Zizalski, an elder of the German church group. These people, these names, Ian Yorkshire, Brinkman, his lawyer. It's just like a film. I was living in this jail. I remember I was sitting in a little cell reading this crazy. When I remember it, I said to you, your head's outside the prison, your body's in, but in terms, I'm reading this stuff and I'm thinking, so how am I going to get involved? What do I want to get involved in this for? I'm coming out, I want to fight the magnet case. I want to, try and realise somewhere near or anything of the supposed 50 million in damages that David Sinclair had given advice on, and the other positive advice from all other counsel. That's where I was focused, getting out, getting on, getting this claim underway and trying to have something of a reasonably normal life. So I probably feel like laughing. Well, there's some things to be very serious about what happened next, and there's plenty to laugh at. I keep reading and I won't sort of tease with it anymore, but as I found my way through it, there were other documents, more serious. That's a possibility. In these other documents, there were court documents, transcripts from court, of the trial of Kachurian and Esme, which had been obtained by Alan when trying to appeal. And in there was the trial notes, or handwritten notes, to Mr. Alex Cameron, who was a pupil at 2 Bedford Road, the same chambers as Adam Budworth and James Sturman. The letters were dated the 4th of October 2012, 32 pages. And in there I also saw a reference to R.W., who they thought was a man called Mark, or Mr. 13, some senior member of the US government. I was getting too interested and I wanted also to run the mile in the other direction. I mean, now I've previously been told about important information in the sample taking or mistaking in the Diana case, but it's Diana's death. Now I'm sitting here with this. I'm thinking, am I just going to go chop at some point, fall over? In this document, Alan names a number of people. I'll give their titles. The reason he names them is because, allegedly, or there's some papers to support it, during the Afghanistan war, fuel oil from the assets of UK and US military fuel dumps, scrap metal in the form of vehicles and equipment hardware destroyed to the point of unserviceable, ever again, all military grade. This fuel and the equipment was sold from where it lay, sold to the Chinese government via diplomat. Hang on, fucking hell. Come on, bring me down up the ceiling. Dying is one thing. Respect to everyone involved, not least Dodie and Fayed and Princess Diana. They died at the end of the day. But now I'm looking at documents today, just, different gravy, different level. Different. It was similar level, but I thought different. This guy's right. The documents he's producing are right. I'm holding documents that are just going to get fucking blown up for. He's talking about government officials, naming them. Former Home Secretary, Senior Prison Reform Trust, Member of Parliament, Senior International Insurer, United States Senator, Senior at UK Security Services. All allegedly involved, as according to these documents, trading fuel and military assets. Imagine you've got your military in working, fighting for your country, fighting for their country, our country, putting themselves on the line day in, day out. And yet, government's coming back crying, they haven't got arms, they haven't got this. The arms are there. Can't they be re-energised or upscaled, used again? Certainly oil could have, surely. Why selling off the oil undervalued and then asking the British public to fund more? Doesn't that put our military at risk? I don't know. Well, look, it's for that alone. I was going to have a look at this. Look, it's no secret I've had some strange behaviour by the military. Supposedly, here it is. I mean, the evidence is there. I can bring it easily enough. But at the end of the day, the military, what they do for us, you've got to put your life on the line for them. So I made my mind up. Fuck it. I'm going to dive into this. I'm going to find out what the fuck's going on. Next day I went out on the yard, bumped into Alan. Oh, Alan, I said, fucking nice little book you gave me, innit? He said, you like that? As if it was fucking up. He said, give me a little Sun newspaper to read. I said, well, liking it's one thing. I said, it's a bit heavy, innit? He said, that's the business I'm in. I said, well, why the fuck do you give it to me? He said, because you had no need to tell me or give me any advice to get me off. You didn't even know me. And you gave me something so precious to me. He said, I knew I could trust you with something of precious nature to me. I need to get these documents to the right people. As you can imagine, he said, he said, and you'd probably think yourself, how'd you find yourself if you're working with the government and all that? They'd just fucking get you out. He said, but the thing is, these contracts, he said, and the other information I hold, he said, they wanted me away. He said, they want me away so I didn't work out what's going on. He said, it happens to many people. It might have happened to you. I thought, you don't know, does it? All right, Alan, you got me interested. The fact that, you've got military need, you need help, and this and the other, for that alone, fuck it, I'll have a go, whatever you want. He said, I want that document, that envelope delivered to HMRC, the seniors. I said, right, where do I find them? He said, well, you can find them. He said, when you do, he said, just hand them that. He said, you'll know what to do. He said, you'll know you found the right ones when you meet them. He said, you'll know by the look on their faces what you got in your hands. Now I thought, is he just getting me to deliver something that's going to obviously bring him back out of jail and put a wedge between us? Well, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, if my motive is just to hand over these documents, then that's a good thing, isn't it? The last thing I could have is any military in this country at risk, people in this country, funding what these politicians were negotiating for fun. It's real shit. People are dying. I've already bought into it for all those reasons and more. The following evening, Alan appeared from nowhere again. Alright, I thought, fucking, I'm having another fucking mental breakdown according to the screws. They have a little joke on me. Don't matter, I'm going to fucking silly boy all the way on this one. Fucking, doesn't matter what it takes, I'm fucking rolling with it. He came in. He said, look, he said, I'm going to hand you this last document. He said, based on what you've said or what you haven't said, he said, I think I can trust you with this last one. It was then he handed me the statement of his friend Robin, who was a retired collector for customs and excise. Quote, sworn statement. This statement consisting of 2 pages, each signed by me, is true to my best of my knowledge and belief, and I make it known that if it's tendered in evidence, I shall be liable to prosecution if I have willingly stated anything which I know to be false or do not believe to be true. I first met Alan in 1996 following my retirement from HM Customs and Excise. I was a collector of customs and excise and held the position of Chief Investigation Officer for the South of England, based in Southampton. When I retired, I set up a fiscal consultant and had been approached by the Managing Director, Alan, to later become a company that Alan had established with the recruitment of inquiry agents and private detectives. At this time, Alan was based in wherever, won't mention it, quick, I'll keep going. And has established a good relationship with the ruling family for his efforts to help the economies of X and Y. I assisted Alan with a review of the revenue-raising procedures in X, but the medicine and changes I suggested were unpalatable to the government. During 2001, I made contact with Oxfam, who suggested that I contact the Centre of Environmental Health Engineering at Surrey University. The deputy director was John Clark, and he agreed to conduct some tests which were 100% positive. I also approached Portadown Laboratory, who agreed to test the product with some really serious pathogens only available to them. And again, the tests were very successful. Alan, meanwhile, was very active in sourcing funding to obtain a promise of $37 million from the World Bank for water treatment in refugee camps in Rwanda. Unfortunately, following the 11th September attack on the Twin Towers, all promises of humanitarian funding, especially for Africa, were cancelled, with the American paranoia and funding that would end up with terrorists. Professor Paul Sherlock of Oxfam and John Clark both agreed that Rwanda would be an ideal site for in-country tests because the water in Rwanda was plentiful, but also very polluted by metallic oxides, which are very difficult to disinfect. I liaised with the Rwandan government and they were supportive as I organised 2 trips to the Nyamwisho-Daneshi refugee camps in 2003. The first expedition was in April 2003 and a team from us, University of Surrey, was Larry, Alan, Katina Doria and Sylvian Bertram. The second trip was in November-December 2003 with Larry, Lawrence, Alan, Ebden Foggett, Paul Cumberland, John Lawbrook and Sylvan Bertrand, and this was joined by a 4-man film crew working for the BBC. Unquote. That's how it's going on. So I flicked the kettle and I heard a voice coming from the other side. What do you think now? It was Alan. Got back out again. I'm obviously having another episode of calling to him and the fucking screws. I thought, it must be a fucking radio. They're on me. It can be on me and I'm wondering about. Didn't matter fucking what they did to me. He said, here's the last bit of it. He threw another fucking envelope under my door. So I was reading through that and it was even more serious now. It's a court hearing, the transcripts of a hearing. The Chinese government, change of the banking system with the City of London. Fucking, what are you doing, eh? Option 7, a senior, I won't mention his fucking name straight away, he's at the top. A senior at the Chinese government allegedly invented, along with his family, this code, this change to the banking system. Once he put it to the City of London, so it says, along with many other allegations of corruption and bribery and all sorts of monies moving across continents. I'm thinking, fucking, alright, I'm gonna get out of here. I've got to get this out of here. I'm fucking got a few months to go. Right, I've got 3 months to go. I've fucking got this thing wrapped around me. Myself had a bit of peace up until then. The next day, the door unlocked, 8 o'clock. I looked out, walking around. No Alan. Went out in the yard, bumped into psychedelic Eric. Said, Alan, I said, no, he said he shipped out early hours this morning. He said he didn't come into work. So I asked the screw. He said he's fucking gone. He's gone off to a sea cat near where he lives. I think he wants his wife to visit him and all that. So, fucking hell, he got me right in it. Dropped me, fucking blow me up, told the screws I got holding some nonsense, fucking serious documents. And for that, they'd move him out. Now, just before this, I'd been offered a job on another wing. They called it C Wing, I think. And it was like a little billet type place. I think it was about 8 rooms. We had a nice kitchen for a jail. And a washing machine and a garden and fucking you could just come and go as you please, you know what I mean? The other thing about it was that you went to work during the day down at the mall in Norwich, sorting through the rubbish, sorting through the shit that come through all the shops upstairs, all the food shops, all the food rubbish. We were just fucking organising it, putting it in different boxes and bins and fucking. Now I'd blown it out. I said, fucking got interested in it. Going out all day, getting covered in shit, fucking smelling like a fucking tip, you know what I mean? But it's the only way I'm going to get out. And I needed to get out. So I fucking made it, put in an app. I fucking always the only app that come back within fucking an hour, I think, agreeing for me to go out. No one wanted the job. So I got my gear, moved over to the billet, got a new room, washed some clothes, settled in, went out in the garden, had a cup of tea or whatever it was, fucking started chatting. The next morning, cars pulled up, SUV, fucking took 4 of us down to Norwich. Now, it was fucking brilliant because, you know, some jail, remember, right? Some good looking women in Norwich, right? Made no mistake. But the only time you could talk to them is in the morning, first thing, before, you know, when you get your, because they give you a £10 credit, like a little docket, right? You go into a coffee shop, whatever, and you get your fucking panini and whatever you want, coffee. So we'd go in first thing because you stunk, right? So you'd have a chat, you'd flirt a bit, blah, blah, it was all good, right? Get out. Now I stuffed these fucking envelopes up my shirt because, you know, whilst the prisoner interested in anything coming into the jail, they don't search on the way out. Why would they? Who gives a fuck what's going outside of the jail? So I stuffed them down my shirt, just walked straight through, walked straight out the door, big door open, fucking straight out of the car, off. Whilst out, you get a lunch break. So you can go anywhere. Go out on the street, go fuck do you like. So I got on a phone, went into a post office, recorded delivery, the mail, borrowed some money with someone, got it sent to an address. Thank fuck for that. I thought, fuck. For a little while, I thought, because I've got to fucking now deal with that when I get out. But I wanted to deal with it. I thought, fuck it. My intent is to fucking stop any shit going down, in my own small way. Not government. It's laughable to even talk like that. But someone had put it on me to fucking do something. When I say put it on me, they emotionally fucking put it on me. And I accepted it. It was emotional, and I took it. And it wouldn't matter what happened to me. That was going to get done. Anyway. I got back. I thought, well, that's all I needed to get out for. Another couple of days at it. And I'm sure it happened. I think I had a slip. I think I did me back. Do you know what I mean? I think I had a little slip, a little blunder in Blunderston. And I think I slipped something in me back. I said it hurt. So I went up to the screw. I said, I think I've done me back and I'm going to go back over on the other wing where I was. Oh, all right, yeah. You're going to claim, are you? I said, well, I don't know. So I thought, fuck it, I wasn't thinking about that, but you come and mention it, I'll keep that up my sleeve. I went back and looked forward to getting out. As we're getting close to getting out, people were getting knocked back. They were getting delayed in their release. And I said, I had a great history in there. I fucking done everything wrong, got on with it, just kept your nut down, done what I did, got on with what I wanted to do, enjoyed myself as much as I could from the circumstances, made it what I wanted to make it, and flew through it. That doesn't make it any easier. You miss your family, you're banged up. It ain't no fucking party, but you make it what it is. I did. Anyway, with that, Scrooge cut me. He said, I don't think you're going to get your HDC, your home detention curfew, your licence for good behaviour. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you're due out on the 27th of March, 2013. He said, but I can't see you getting it. I said, I think I need to get it. He said, why is that? I said, because I think I have my back looked at. He looked at me, fucking on his face, thought, you slippery fucker. Literally. I then said, look, I'll tell you what, right? We're going to have a deal. I'll get out on the day that I'm meant to get out, and I won't make a claim for me back. Let me think about it. He went. Next thing, fucking bang on the door. 7 o'clock in the morning. Out you go. Brothers came up, picked me up in the car, went down to McDonald's to eat a breakfast. Fucking hell, never had so much salt in my life. Fucking I was on plain food, wasn't I? I mean, most of the food I got, all of the Jewish kosher food, I used to give away. In fact, what I hadn't mentioned was, I went to see the rabbi in the synagogue, and he said, I think you're Jewish. So I don't think I am. I'm sure I'm a Christian. I've been like it all my life. So have my family. And they said, I really think you're a Jew. You're Jewish. He didn't say Jew. He said, I think you're Jewish. Jewish faith. It's all words to that effect. Something more fitting with a rabbi. This is my coarse way of saying it. So Alan Nicely said, look, if you're Jewish in here, you get all the kosher food. He said, and I thought, well, I don't make kosher food. I'm fucking on a diet. I'm enjoying being fitter and slimmer. You know what I mean? I'm carrying around a lot of weight before. Never been overweight. Although I was sort of strong with it. You know what I mean? I was, been in the gym and all the rest of it. I don't want to be a fucking unit, fucking 19 stone plus. You know what I mean? I want nice clothes. I want to play tennis. I've never played tennis for years. I want to get into it. I've made my mind up. There's things I want to do while I'm in jail. Perspective. I've had time to think. And I'm much lighter to play the game. Although I'm playing the game. Anyway, I thought about it for a minute. I thought, there is another thing that really troubles me, right? And there's nothing wrong in being Jewish. Of course there's not. It's a faith, and as long as people are doing good things, then it's a great faith. It's like any other faith. But why should I have to give up Christianity and become a Jew? Even though it's temporary, even though I've just said it. Why do I have to do that to get the perks? Why do I have to do that? Why can't I just get perks? Why can't I just get like a roast dinner, for example, on a Sunday? I don't want it every day. Why can't I just get that as a Christian? It all became a little twisted and confused. So I conceded. I said, all right, make me a Jew. What do you mean? You say I've got to be a Jew to get food. I said, I'm on a diet. I don't want it. I'll give it to people. I'll give all the good food to people in here who are starving. And that's what happened. I had to say to the screws, I'm a Jew. And because of that, they gave me all the kosher food. And once they gave it to me, I'd hand it to the other inmates in there. Funny, what you got to do. 12 people on it. But there it is. And if there's any doubt, I've got every single food packaging and a diary of what was given to me every day. Something that kept me busy whilst I was in there. I hold on to today. Every meal. But let me move on. Food is not the essence of the day. It's getting out of jail, getting on with life, getting this magnets thing sorted out and cracking on sorting my daughter out. It was funny being back. It wasn't too long I stayed with my brother's then girlfriend, Kaya, Polish girl. Had a dog, flat in West Norwood, in Knights Hill. Went down within a short while. Someone turned up, put a tag around the ankle, HDC tag, for a few months. And I had to go and see probation. So he's still got hooks in the job. After a while, starting to pull myself around, that sign on. But then intermittently I was doing some work on building sites, getting back into it. But remember, I can't make any proper moves because the police published in the online of their supposed success, corrupt builder, or whatever it was called. So every time I went for a job and people looked me up, they go, sorry mate, fraudster. They knew that even though they couldn't get me under the Proceeds of Crime Act because of their corruption, changing the indictment, they knew that they would get me one way or another and affect my earnings and affect my abilities to get on with life. And they affect my earnings, they affect everything, my family, my child, everything. But this is personal. This is absolutely personal. It's not me just saying it because I'm vengeful and stuff, even though I'll deliver that if I haven't already. Remember, these authorities are trying to stop one of the biggest corruption cases in this country coming to light. I don't say it lightly. I would just say it's a corrupt case. It's enough corrupt, isn't it? This is one of the biggest. Birmingham 6, big case. Forget it. Guildford 4, big case. Forget it. This one here, this is the case. As I go through, I'll just leading more and more evidence. I've taken a foot off the gas on as far as the evidence at the moment, but I'll get back into it, don't worry. Anyway, to continue on. A few things I wanted to do. I wanted to bump into Derek again and thank him for, whatever he did in court. I wanted to obviously see my daughter before anything. And, whilst I'd run out of cash and, ideas and the police were stopping me online, I was still fine. Still pulling the head off the canvas. Justice on Appeal's gone. Oh, it's all gone. All the companies are gone. My ex-partner, Miss Havisham, still making the most of her control elements, controlling the contact, telling me that even though she knew, obviously knew I was there, our daughter was very busy. Darren, we'll have to arrange something in the future. I agreed. I had to. And then I went down to the job centre. I said, look, so I'm going to have to go for some different jobs. I can manage any company and this, that and the other. I'm going to have to go for some different kind of jobs, even though when I'm looked up, I'm going to probably get some heat or whatever, but I've got to go for it. I said, I need a suit. I said, so is there a grant or something for a suit? Embarrassing, but look, if I'm telling the true story, I might as well tell you all of it. I also knew that, this package was sitting there waiting for me and I had to go to HMRC. So I thought I'm better off going in a suit. That's what I really thought. They sent me to a place called Suited and Booted, which was a charity assisting men who had fallen hard on their times and were unemployed. Well, I was in those categories. I was in other categories that I've mentioned, but, it didn't matter here. It didn't matter what colour you was, single, married. Those are the categories that fit this charity. I used to wear the best suits you could get. Armani, Prada, on my 21st birthday, I even received a telegram of congratulations from Giorgio Armani. All right, it might have been nudged by my parents and his personal assistant, but I got the telegram from him. And here I was, out of jail on a corrupt case, travelling on my way to Blackfriars in London to visit a charity to give me a second or a hand-me-down and having to be grateful for someone willing to help me. It's times like that designer suits didn't feel so important anymore. I was thinking of my future and just recoiling all of the countless business opportunities I'd let go because I was out partying or on the town with a girlfriend. Any of these jobs alone, the ones I blew out, would kept me going for a year or more. But it's funny, it dawned on me, you're not as invincible as you think. You need to chase everything, irrespective of how well you think you're doing. I arrived at the destination, took a few steps leading from St Andrews Hill to the St Andrews by the wardrobe. Funny, I thought, the wardrobe. I met with this well-spoken petite lady, Maria, just soft, gentle, kind-natured. Then she turned around to one of her interns. No, not in there, in there. She was reprimanding her before turning back at me in a completely opposite demeanour. I said, would you like to come for a tea or coffee? Have you eaten? Would you like to come around the corner for some lunch? Well, look, other than my family, she was one of the nicest people I'd met for a while. And I knew that she was a good-hearted, strong woman, and she meant well. As we were walking through the hallway into the main hall, she began apologising for the mayhem and the stray racks of suits. She then went on to say to me, we've got a film crew in here today. We're making a short movie so that we can promote our services. Would you be interested in giving us something to camera? She was kind of half joking, but hoping I'd agree. Yeah, all right, why not? I was grateful to be there. She was helping me, offered me what I wanted, and of course I wanted. Oh, just go over there and someone will dress you. What preferences do you have? And I was walking over there. I think she meant like slim cut or whatever. And I turned around as I'm walking. I said, Armani would be great. She just fucking laughed. Soon enough, film crew, so a female presenter, she started interviewing me on me suit. She said, so what brought you to Suited and Booted, Darren? And now I thought, I could just offload now. I could tell her all this stuff, evidence, this, that, much of what I said to you. British legal system, people pulling the strings. Instead of pulling strings, I pulled up my trouser leg and then under my sock, turning around the prison tag. She looked at me and was like, fucking hell, what's that? I was grateful to have a suit that day. And I needed to plan and get on to meet HMRC. Once I get off this off my chest, I'll get on with other stuff. Freudian slip. Contact with my daughter. I'd say if I was thinking about a meeting, my little child. Here's what it is. It was a meeting. It was an appointment. It was contact back in a contact centre. My daughter's now a lot older. Surely Miss Havisham's fucking not so twisted. She'd have her own daughter in a contact centre. But, yeah, she did. I turned to the newspaper. Builder found guilty of defrauding local residents. Thanks to the diligent work by officers from Hammersmith and Fulham, led by DC Angela Mills and DS Richard Gilbert, Darren received a free... Oh, fuck it, you bunch of cunts. I'm going to fucking ruin you. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I know how part I was going to do it, because I had the material from the Pocker hearing. But, when you fit it up and you're reading that, I then started to understand how my brothers were feeling. I understood my own feelings towards my brothers. But it's another thing to understand how someone's feeling when you're fitted up for something you didn't do, imprisoned. And then be like, while these little characters fuck about and try and get on with their lives, as if nothing's happened. Oh, I'm not a grass, I don't make statements. No, you are a fucking grass, because you go behind people's back and grass every fucker up. You are a grass. We're going to get to the grasses. Again. Anyway, fortunately for me, my luck started to change for the better. It was obviously worse at that point. And we were called by a company who had a commercial property in East London, East Ham. And before too long, they said, we've got no one to do the dot and dab, the plasterboarding, sticking it to walls, ceilings and all the rest of it. Now, the ceiling's good enough, it was screwing it up, but the dot and dabbing on the walls I'd never done. I had skills, I had knowledge, I used tools, or so I watched a 15-minute how-to video on YouTube and just fucking cracked on. I fucking did the whole building. I then decided I had to go and meet Derek. I had a couple of quid in my pocket, I had to take him out at lunch, so I flew down to Surrey, see if I could meet him. He gave me a coffee, asked me about what happened to me, and he told me about his arrest with a police officer. So how did you get away with that? I asked him. I didn't get away with it, he said. It cost me 50 quid. He started laughing, I thought. Yeah, because he fucking means it. He went on to tell me his Masonic connections got him away with it. Got him away with a prison sentence for ABH against the copper. A lot we said about Freemasonry, and you know why now I'm touching on it throughout you. But we'll keep going with it later on. In any event, we went for lunch down at the Bankside pub on the Thames, down in Surrey. And I explained, I said, look, I need an office, Derek. He said, all right, no problem. He said, you can have one next door. He said, the address is closing. He said, I'll knock the wall down, you can have that one. Then the day came up, due to see my little princess. And I spent everything I had, everything. Didn't have a penny left on her. And, they used to, that was for the right reasons. I know it used to piss Miss Havisham off because, she was getting nothing from me other than the minuscule amount that the doll would take away from the top of my unemployment benefit. She had the house, she had the money, she had everything I had. I gave it to her, willingly. But no. I was stupid there. That's a stupid boy, not a silly boy. I should have had a contract, used it as leverage to see my daughter. I didn't. I thought, just give it up, get on with life, top it up later. All genuine, all stupid. She turned it round, took the house, took everything, fucking, wouldn't come after me for more. Kept coming after me for more, and I'll get into where. And it's funny where I am now, funny enough. You think these things end, and yet you think to yourself, well, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. I really would love to. I really would not spoil it, but tell you. I just can't. It's too good. It is fucking too good. So I'll carry on. Yeah, I've obviously thought what's going into these fucking people's brains, Tara, sure, he's fucking got a daughter. Now, the other thing I'd mentioned, that whilst I was in jail, I took a course. And the course was like a parenting course. You probably think, fucking, I bet you got caned for that. But no, I'd never get fucking anything said against me in jail. Fucking never. I could do what I like. I could run around as a fucking trance and the fucking people would clap my hands and fucking shake my hand. I could do what I like. Went on this parenting course. A couple of weeks, 3 weeks. And one of the things I was able to do, the reason for going, was I could read and record a book for Christmas. So I read the book by Williams. Anyway, I walked in, sat down, and as I looked round, I could see all the broken toys and, it's a clean place, but kids going in there with their parents and playing. Things get broken. It just reminded me of, the toys, the physical elements, with no from the broken hearts of the fathers that had to suffer. There's some that need to be in contact centres because they're abusive against women, they fucking deserve it. But there are other people like me who didn't. And the mothers are weaponising the system, which is far more prominent today with different things, to fuck the father about. Break his heart, fuck him about, teach him a lesson, whatever you want to do. Evil little fuckers, basically. I mean, who would do that other than evil little fuckers? Way upstairs, Darren, I was told, look round. Sterile meeting room. Worn hearts of the fathers sitting around, fucking broken, barely hanging on to their finances whilst they're having their arseholes ripped out for Jimmy and Fendi and the other things from the Putney, Yummy Mummies and others, similar to Miss Havisham. Then she came in. Of course, she was fashionably late, and my beautiful little princess. She'd grown up, and she looked so beautiful. It was all I could do to hold back the tears. We looked at each other, and she was trying to hold back the tears as I don't know who was going to burst first. Just so happy to see each other. Pause for a moment as we realised that we were family, father and daughter. We ran towards each other and held each other like we'd never been apart. Squeezed each other so tight, as if this was going to be the last time we'd ever see each other. As I squeezed her little head on my chest, she said, "Mr. Stink is now my favourite book. I love you, Daddy." Listen in to each episode as I engage you in my personal journey of how a boy growing up on a council estate in Essex would eventually own the most exclusive online private members club in the world.